The rubber duck debugging method is a problem-solving trick for programmers. The idea is simple. When you're stuck on a bug, you explain your code line by line to something, traditionally, a little rubber duck sitting on your desk. By forcing yourself to slow down and put the problem into words, you often spot the mistake you've been overlooking. It works because explaining triggers different parts of your brain than just staring at the screen. And no, it doesn't have to be a duck. It can be a friend, a plant, or even your dog. The key is talking it through. So the next time you're debugging, don't underestimate the power of a $2 bath toy to save your code. So there's that.
Popsicles were invented by accident in 1905 when 11-year-old Frank Epperson left a cup of powdered soda, water, and a stirring stick outside overnight in freezing weather. By morning, boom, a frozen treat on a stick. He called it the Epsicle. Years later, his kids convinced him to rename it Popsicle because it was literally their Pop's icicle. And just like that, Summer had a best friend.
The mimic octopus is a master of disguise. It doesn't just blend in, it actively copies the shapes, movements, and behaviors of other animals. Think lionfish, flatfish, sea snakes, jellyfish, and more. For example, when disturbed by damselfish, it may mimic a venomous sea snake, complete with curled, banded arms that wiggle like snake bodies. If it wants to creep along undetected, it can flatten itself and glide in a way that resembles a flatfish. Special skin cells, chromatophores, plus others like iridophores or leucophores, let it rapidly change color, pattern, and texture to match its surroundings or mimic creatures. It doesn't randomly pick a disguise. Observations suggest it chooses what to mimic depending on the predator or threat. It's like it's selecting the outfit that will scare this predator the best. So there's that.
The heart is more than just a pump. It actually has its own built-in electrical system. Inside it, special cells in the sinoatrial node act like a natural pacemaker, sending out electrical signals that tell the heart muscles when to contract. Because of this, the heart doesn't need the brain to keep beating. It runs on its own rhythm, powered by these signals and fueled by oxygen and nutrients. That's why, under the right conditions, a heart can keep beating for a while even if it's removed from the body. Surgeons see this during transplants. So there's that. The halo effect is a mental shortcut our brains use. When one positive trait about a person makes us assume all their other traits are positive too. For example, if someone is attractive, we might automatically think they're smarter, kinder, or more trustworthy, even without proof. The halo of beauty spills over into how we see everything else about them. It works the other way too. If someone makes a bad impression, like being rude once, we might assume they're lazy or incompetent in general. Marketers and leaders use this all the time. A celebrity endorsement, a shiny logo, or even a confident smile can create a halo that makes us overlook flaws. In short, the halo effect is our brain's way of judging the whole picture based on just one glowing detail.
The Atlas moth is one of the largest moths in the world, with a wingspan that can reach almost a foot across. But despite its enormous size, its time as an adult is surprisingly short, only about 1 to 2 weeks. When it emerges from its cocoon, the moth is already living on borrowed time. Unlike butterflies and many other moths, the adult Atlas moth has no mouth. It can't eat or drink. All the energy it will ever have as an adult comes from the fat reserves it stored away during its long caterpillar stage. Imagine saving up all your food for months just to live for a few days. That's exactly how the Atlas moth survives. So what does it do with this brief moment of life? Its only mission is reproduction. Females stay still, releasing strong chemical signals called pheromones. Males, with their huge, feathery antennae, are finely tuned to pick up those scents from miles away. Once a male finds her, they mate, and the female lays hundreds of eggs, the start of the next generation. After that, the adult moth's life comes to an end. It never eats, never roams far, and never really rests. But in its short existence, the Atlas moth fulfills its single purpose, to ensure that life continues. The Atlas moth reminds us that sometimes life isn't measured by how long it lasts, but by what it leaves behind. Chocolate chip cookies were actually a happy accident. Back in 1938, Ruth Wakefield, who owned the Toll House in Whitman, Massachusetts, was baking her usual batch of butter drop-dew cookies. Instead of melting chocolate into the dough, She chopped up a Nestlé semi-sweet chocolate bar and tossed the chunks in, expecting them to melt and spread evenly. Spoiler, they didn't. The pieces held their shape but got all gooey and soft inside. And boom, the first chocolate chip cookie was born. They got so popular that Nestlé struck a deal with her. They could print her recipe on their chocolate bar packaging, and in return, she got a lifetime supply of Nestlé chocolate. Honestly, that sounds like a win-win situation. And that's why today, chocolate chip cookies are not just a dessert, they're an American legend. Number 1. Everyone has a unique nose print. Similar to fingerprints, every person has a unique pattern of bumps and ridges on their nose. While not used for identification like fingerprints, the concept of a nose print has been explored and is actually used by farmers to identify individual cows in a herd. Number 2. It can detect trillions of scents. For decades, it was believed humans could only detect about 10,000 different smells. Recent research from Rockefeller University suggests our noses are far more powerful and may be capable of distinguishing over 1 trillion different scents. Number 3. It changes the sound of your voice. The nasal passages are a key resonator for sound. When you speak, air vibrates not just in your vocal cords but also in your sinuses and nasal cavity, which gives your voice its unique tonal quality. This is why you sound so stuffed, up and nasal when you have a cold. The sound can't resonate properly.
Here are psychological tricks for persuasion. Number 1. The door-in-the-face technique. Start by making a very large, likely to be rejected request. After they say no, follow up with your smaller, actual request. The person feels guilty for rejecting the first request and is more likely to agree to the second, smaller one as a form of compromise. E.g., can you donate $100? No. Well, could you just donate $10? Number 2. The foot-in-the-door technique. The inverse of the above. Start with a very small, almost impossible to refuse request. Once they agree, follow up with a larger related request. People like to be consistent. Having already agreed to the small thing, they are more likely to agree to the larger one to maintain their self-image as a helpful person. Number 3. The but you are free, BF technique. When making a request, explicitly state that the person is free to accept or refuse. Could you help me with this report? But obviously you are free to say no. It reduces psychological reactance, the knee-jerk urge to resist when we feel our freedom is being threatened. Acknowledging their freedom makes them more likely to say yes. Number 4. The halo effect. People's overall impression of you in one area, e.g., being well-dressed and confident, influences their perception of you in other areas, e.g., they assume you are more competent and intelligent. Our brains use mental shortcuts, heuristics. It's easier to form one general impression than to evaluate every trait individually. Number 1. Your nose helps you taste. About 80% of what you perceive as taste actually comes from your sense of smell. When you chew, odor molecules from your food travel up the back of your throat to your olfactory receptors. If you pinch your nose while eating, you drastically reduce your ability to taste complex flavors. You'll mostly only taste basic sensations like sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Number 2. It's a mucus production powerhouse. It might sound gross, but it's vital. Your nose and sinuses produce about 1 liter, over 4 cups of mucus every day. You constantly swallow it without noticing, and it plays a crucial role in trapping particles and keeping your airways moist and clean. Number 3. Your nose never stops growing. Unlike the rest of the bones in your body, which stop growing after puberty, the cartilage and soft tissues that make up your nose and ears continue to grow and sag throughout your entire life due to the effect of gravity. This is why older people often have larger noses and ears. Number 4. It has a self-cleaning mechanism. The inside of your nose is lined with millions of tiny hair-like structures called cilia. These microscopic brooms are constantly waving back and forth, about 1,000 times per minute, to sweep the mucus, along with all the trapped debris, toward the back of your throat to be swallowed and neutralized by stomach acid.
Here are some interesting facts about mooses. Number 1. They rarely lie down because of their size. It's a significant effort for a moose to get up from a lying position. They often sleep standing up or leaning against a tree while resting. When they do lie down, they look incredibly awkward, almost like a folded-up deck chair. Number 2. They are surprisingly aquatic. Moose are excellent swimmers. They can swim for miles, at a time up to 10 miles, and can maintain a speed of 6 miles per hour. Their long legs act as powerful paddles, and their hollow hair provides excellent buoyancy. They will often dive several meters underwater to munch on aquatic plants. Number 3. Calves can outrun a human within days. A moose calf can stand within the first day of its life and can run within a week. This is a crucial survival adaptation to escape from predators. Number 4. They have a built-in snorkel. A moose's large, overhanging snout and flexible nostrils can close tightly, allowing it to submerge its entire head to feed on underwater vegetation without getting water up its nose. Number 5. Their legs are engineered for snow. Those incredibly long legs aren't just for swimming. They allow a moose to run up to 35 mph and easily traverse deep snow that would immobilize most other animals, including their predators like wolves. These are the possible origin of some words. Number 1. Sincerely. One popular but debated etymology suggests that in 16th to 17th century Rome, without modern quality control, dishonest sculptors would hide flaws in their marble statues by filling cracks with wax and painting over it. These flawed statues would melt in the heat. A sincera statue, meaning without wax in Latin, was therefore an honest, high-quality piece of work. The phrase sincera evolved into the English word sincere, meaning honest and genuine, which then influenced the closing of letters. Linguists debate this, but it's a great story. Number 2. Maestro. This word for a masterful conductor or composer comes directly from Italian for master. Its deeper root is the Latin magister, which also gives us magistrate and master. It literally means one who is greater, magus. Number 3. Sabotage. The word comes from the French sabot, a wooden shoe. There are 2 theories. 1. Disgruntled workers would throw their wooden clogs into machinery to break it and disrupt production. 2. It refers to the clumsy, noisy work of an unskilled replacement worker, described as working like a sabot, clumsy as a wooden shoe.
1. The power of silence. In a negotiation or conversation, after making a point or hearing an offer, stay silent for a few seconds. The other person will often feel compelled to keep talking, potentially revealing more information or making a concession. People are uncomfortable with silence and will frequently try to fill the void, often to their own disadvantage. 2. The 2 choices trick, but both benefit you. Instead of asking an open-ended question, when do you want to meet? Give 2 specific choices that both work for you. Does Thursday at 2 p.m. or Friday at 10 a.m. work better for you? It limits the scope of the decision, reduces mental load for the other person, and makes them more likely to commit without negotiating a time that's bad for you. 3. Mirroring body language. Subtly mimic the body language, posture, and speech patterns of the person you're talking to. It builds rapport and trust on a subconscious level. We naturally like and feel more comfortable with people who seem similar to us. Pepsi was born in 1893, not as Pepsi, but as a drink called Brad's Drink. It was created in New Bern, North Carolina, by a pharmacist named Caleb Bradham. Like many pharmacists of the time, he mixed up his own sodas to serve at his drugstore soda fountain. His concoction of sugar, caramel, lemon oil, nutmeg, and other natural additives was meant to be refreshing and aid digestion. By 1898, he rebranded it as Pepsi-Cola, Pepsi referencing the digestive enzyme pepsin, even though it never contained any, and cola for the cola nuts that gave it a caffeine kick. Bradham's drink grew popular, and in 1902, he officially founded the Pepsi-Cola Company. Pepsi went through ups and downs, at one point going bankrupt during World War I due to sugar price spikes, but it bounced back and eventually became Coca-Cola's main rival. Clever marketing, like the famous Nickel campaign selling twice as much cola for 5 cents in the Great Depression, helped Pepsi carve out its place in soda history. So from a drugstore soda fountain in North Carolina to a global brand, Pepsi started as a pharmacist's sweet experiment that's still fizzing more than a century later. So there's that. The babirusa, a wild pig from Sulawesi and nearby Indonesian islands, has some of the strangest tusks in the animal kingdom. In males, the upper canines grow upward through the snout, piercing the skin, and then curve backward toward the forehead. The lower canines grow sideways and upward, also curving back. They can look like a pair of ivory horns sprouting right out of the pig's face. What's wild is, the tusks aren't really useful for digging or fighting, unlike in most wild pigs. They're brittle, easily broken, and in some cases, if they keep growing unchecked, they can curve back into the skull and kill the babirusa. Scientists think they evolved more as a sexual ornament, like a peacock's tail, showing off the male's health and toughness, because carrying dangerous headgear is basically saying, "Look, I'm so fit I can survive this." So there's that. Here are some interesting facts about your nose. 1. It's a built-in air conditioner and humidifier. Your nose conditions the air you breathe to prepare it for your sensitive lungs. As air enters your nostrils, it is warmed. The rich blood supply in your nasal passages quickly brings cold air up to body temperature. Humidified. The mucous membranes add moisture to prevent your lungs from drying out. Filtered. Tiny hairs called cilia and sticky mucus trap dust, pollen, germs, and other pollutants, preventing them from entering your body. 2. You have a dominant nostril. You don't breathe equally through both nostrils at the same time. They take turns in a cycle called the nasal cycle. Every few hours, the tissue in one nostril swells slightly, making it the congested or less dominant one, while the other opens up. This cycle helps to maintain optimal smell and may even give your nasal lining a chance to rest and recover from the constant flow of air. It's directly connected to your memory and emotion. Your sense of smell is the only sense directly hardwired to the brain's limbic system, which is the seat of emotion and memory. This is why a specific scent, like a certain perfume, the smell of rain, or a food cooking, can instantly and powerfully trigger a vivid memory or feeling in a way that sights or sounds rarely can. So there's that. The Suriname toad, Pipa pipa, is one of nature's strangest amphibians, basically proof that evolution has a sense of humor. Here are its most unique traits: backpack of babies. Unlike most frogs, the female doesn't lay eggs in water. Instead, the male presses the fertilized eggs into the female's back, where her skin grows around them. The eggs develop inside little pockets until fully formed baby toads pop out of mom's back, like Pokemon hatching, completely flat body. They look like a frog that got run over by a steamroller. Their pancake flat body helps them stay camouflaged in the muddy bottoms of slow-moving rivers. Star-shaped fingers. Their fingertips are tipped with star-like lobes, which they use like feelers to see in dark, murky water. No tongue, no teeth. Unlike most frogs, they don't flick their tongues to catch prey. Instead, they just vacuum suck food into their mouths, swallowing small fish, worms, and insects whole. Silent communication. They don't croak like other frogs. Instead, males make a clicking noise underwater to attract mates, basically the frog version of snapping your fingers at a bar. So there's that. Here are some psychological tricks for social interactions. 1. The eyes on the forehead trick for interrupters. The trick: when someone is interrupting you, don't break your sentence. Instead, maintain eye contact and continue speaking just a little bit longer while holding their gaze. Most people will instinctively stop and listen. Why it works: you're non-verbally asserting your right to speak without being aggressive. The direct eye contact creates social pressure for them to back down. 2. The yes line of sight for agreement. The trick: when trying to get a group to agree on something, e.g., ask where to eat, watch people's eyes as you suggest options. People will often glance slightly toward an option they subconsciously prefer when it's mentioned. Why it works: our eyes often make micro-movements toward things we like or are considering, a concept linked to ideomotor movement. 3. The Ben Franklin effect. Ask for a small favor. The trick: if you want someone to like you more, ask them for a small, reasonable favor. E.g., can you pass me that pen? Or could you explain this to me? Why it works: we experience cognitive dissonance if we do a favor for someone we dislike. To resolve it, our brain convinces us we must like them after all. It's more powerful than doing them a favor. The pros are almost exclusively related to reproductive success, increased mating success, the sole overwhelming advantage. Males with the most impressive trains win the most mates. Studies most famously by Marion Petrie have shown that the number of eye spots on a male's train is a direct predictor of his mating success. High-quality genes. If the handicap principle is correct, the tail honestly advertises the male's genetic superiority, disease resistance, foraging ability, overall health, to females. Nonviolent competition. It allows males to assess each other's fitness and establish dominance hierarchies with minimal energy expenditure on dangerous physical fights. The cons are significant and are all related to survival, illustrating the trade-off between attracting mates and staying alive. Energetic cost. Growing, maintaining, and carrying around such elaborate plumage requires a tremendous amount of energy and nutrients. Impaired mobility. The long, heavy train makes it difficult for the peacock to move through dense vegetation and flee from predators. It reduces his ability to fly quickly and for long distances. Increased predation risk. The train is highly conspicuous, making it easier for predators like tigers, leopards, and wild dogs to spot him. The bright colors and large size are the opposite of camouflage. Increased parasite load. Some research suggests that a larger train can be a magnet for parasites like feather mites, which create wear and tear on the feathers and can impact health. The peacock's tail is the perfect example of an evolutionary trade-off, so there's that. The sandwich gets its name from John Montagu, 4th Earl of Sandwich, an 18th century English nobleman. The story goes that in the 1760s, the Earl was a gambling addict who didn't want to leave the card table to eat. He asked for meat tucked between 2 slices of bread so he could eat with one hand and keep playing with the other. People around him started ordering the same as sandwich, and boom, the name stuck. Of course, people had been putting fillings between bread for centuries across different cultures. Think Middle Eastern flatbreads or Jewish pastrami on rye. But Montagu's messy poker nights gave the concept its modern name. High heels. Today, they're a symbol of fashion, elegance, and power. But their story begins far from the catwalk. In the 10th century, Persian horsemen wore shoes with heels. These weren't about style, they were functional. The raised heel kept a rider's foot secure in the stirrup, giving better control in battle. By the late 16th century, this practical design made its way to Europe. But here, it transformed. Heels became a mark of wealth and social standing. The higher the heel, the less you were expected to walk because servants did that for you. King Louis XIV of France famously wore red-heeled shoes, declaring them a symbol of royal privilege. Only the elite could wear them. Over time, men abandoned heels as they shifted toward more practical dress. Women, however, adopted them as a lasting marker of beauty, status, and femininity. Centuries later, high heels remain an icon, whether in high fashion, pop culture, or everyday life. So there's that. Here are some intriguing facts about ears. 1. The stapes located in the middle ear is the smallest bone in the human body. 2. They are self-cleaning with the help of our earwax that helps to keep dust and dirt away from the eardrum. 3. The inner ear contains the vestibular system, which helps maintain balance. 4. We can hear sounds ranging from 20 to 20,000 hertz, which can mostly be heard by young children. 5. Ears continue to grow throughout a person's life. So there's that.